And this is particularly true given that we in the West that opposes Russia have very much to lose in this battle. We have not yet woken up fully to what that loss will look like. Allow me, therefore, to prognosticate both pessimistically and worse, realistically. I believe that all of the following consequences are already inevitable. First, skyrocketing energy prices. I firmly expect oil prices to hit $300 a barrel or worse in the upcoming year or two. Perhaps I am wrong in such a prognostication, but the Russians still have control of some very important taps. Second, severe food shortages or even famine for a minimum of 150 million people, and substantial pressure on the price of basic necessities, even in the developed countries. Third, mass migration. The countries most affected by the aforementioned food shortage will be precisely those North African and Middle Eastern nations from which the last mass migration that so stressed Europe, to say nothing of the immigrants themselves. Expect immense mass movements of desperate people by November of 2022. Fourth, and most immediately, if the buildup of NATO forces continues, and they are in fact then moved into battle position, a real likelihood of the use of tactical nuclear weapons on the Russian side to deal with that threat. 300,000 have been very recently put on high readiness, prepared for immediate deployment, as opposed to the 40,000 currently available for rapid reaction. I cannot see how we can defeat the Russians in any real sense, because they will not allow themselves to lose, because the consequences even of an overwhelming military victory for our side will be internationally disastrous. This is a war that cannot be won in the most fundamental sense by the mere defeat of Russia. The civil war in the West can only be won on the intellectual or even the spiritual front, and the victory will be defeat of the radical ideas of Marxist inheritance that are currently destabilizing our societies, Russia and Ukraine included. As something truly terrible comes for us down the pipes, we are at great risk of destabilizing the amazing interdependent world prosperity that is so unlikely, was so difficult to attain, and which we have enjoyed for only a few short decades. The hunger of millions will soon be upon us, and that is not all. Can we not get our priorities right and step back from that precipice? With the proper vision and aim, all could have all that is needed, perhaps even all that is wanted. Instead, we could have hell, just as we've had it before. Do we really need to go there again? When was the last time that a Western leader spent some time face to face with Putin? Not by Zoom, not by Skype, in the same room, breathing the same air, communicating directly with all available verbal and crucially important nonverbal channels fully functioning, sharing a meal or an anecdote or a drink, engaging. Has it been several years in any real sense? Has that simply been too long? Perhaps I might end this litany of warnings and woe with a story, and not one that I think will improve anyone's mood. As has become somewhat widely known, Putin had an encounter with an angry and desperate rodent when he was young. Quote, "There on that stair landing, I got a quick and lasting lesson in the meaning of the word cornered. There were hordes of rats in the front entryway. My friends and I used to chase them around with sticks. Once I spotted a huge rat and pursued it down the hall until I drove it into a corner. It had nowhere to run. Suddenly, it lashed around and threw itself at me. I was surprised and frightened. Now the rat was chasing me. It jumped across the landing and down the stairs. Luckily, I was a little faster, and I managed to slam the door on its nose. Now, Putin is not a rat, and we are not children tormenting rats with sticks, or at least we shouldn't be.